Hey everyone, Avros here, back again with the Final Fantasy 12 game challenge, back again with Final Fantasy 5. So, we're getting messaged here on the Whisperweed, as Avros is saying, and Galuf exclaims it must be Zazat who gave it to us, and there's audio hiss, so I'm guessing they called it a Whisperweed when it's basically just a radio. So, yeah, he's sending us all the messages and saying everything looks clear on his end over when he gets attacked by a monster, who he sidesteps to make it run into the door and lightning bolts it. And Gal's a bit worried about the noise, and Zed's just like, just get to the roof, over. Gal's like, gotcha, over. So, not very good with radio protocol at least. And we make it to the roof and find the antenna here, pulsing with energy, and let Zazat know, so he knows to shut down the generator so we can attack the antenna and make sure it gets destroyed. So Zazat's looking for an off switch here on the generator, or some sort of way of disabling it temporarily. And now that the generator's off, we'll cut back to the antenna and we'll see the power will go off here. And we have our next boss fight here, and just a quick shout out to Final Fantasy XIV server that I play on is the same as the name of this boss, so now we're going to have to pay with our blood as we go up against Atomos. So, Atomos is a very annoying boss at this phase of the game. What actually happens is he will just cast Comet until one of your party members is dead. And then he will slowly start dragging them into his mouth to remove them entirely from combat unless they're revived. So, you see here, he's still just spamming away at his comets there. And what's going to happen here is we're going to do everything we can to keep our party alive while doing massive damage. So, Faris here is going to go for the Time Magic Double Haste onto Avros and Lena, the two toughest members of the party at this point after Galuf and herself got hit with all those comets. And Galuf is just going to go for the dual cast summon. So here's Double Titan to deal with the Tomos while Avros gets killed in a single comet. Being in the front row as opposed to the back row, really increasing the damage that he takes. So, Avros is going to be the first one pulled towards Atomos' mouth. So, the upside, at least, with Atomos is that while he's got someone dead, he doesn't do any other attacks. So, that makes this a bit better. You'll notice there Lena is getting health when she attacks. That's because she's using the Blood Sword, which has very bad accuracy, but with Rapid Fire having 100% accuracy and hitting those 4 times, 8 times if you're dual wielding, then it makes it so that that sword is actually really good. It's a very, very strong sword at this section of the game, and has the added benefit of draining life. So, yeah, taking advantage of Faris's dual cast there again to hit life and cure, which allows you to revive somebody and heal them at the same time, only for Atomos to respond with a double comet and take out Avros and Faris there. So now we've got 2 people that are going to get pulled slowly towards Atomos here. I think from this point onwards, I resorted to getting one person up and leaving the other person. I did go for the double raise still. So, trying to keep everyone alive here so they get EXP from Atomos. We're not really worried about AVP anymore with everyone as freelancers. There's not really anything else they can learn. But we're just trying to keep everyone alive. And Faris just... This happens throughout the entire playthrough. Faris really likes taking dirt naps. And, yeah, she's just gonna lie down here again for a bit and rest. So, there we go. There's the Atomos pull starting there on Faris. And, Avros is going to High Potion himself for 1,000, doubling the effectiveness of that High Potion with his Chemist passive, which doubles the effectiveness of any potions or ethers, so that he gets double the amount that a regular person would get. So High Potions are incredibly effective on Avros here. And we took care of Atomos relatively quickly. Yeah, Faris stayed dead. And we get a Dark Matter there from beating Atomos. And, once Atomos is dead, we have successfully destroyed the antenna. And the party exclaims that's how it's done, and lets Zazat know that we have destroyed that antenna. And the generator down in the basement is starting to blow up. And Zazat says, you know, you guys need to escape. Energy feed's gone into a recursive loop. I'll make it out of here on my own. And Lena spots the Windrake has come up the side of the tower, and Galuf says, we're gonna go and get Zat, and he's like, nope, I'll get to the sub, don't come and get me, I'll catch up with you. And Galuf is starting to panic that his friend will die, and Avros says, no, trust him. He'll get out. And Leonard and Faris jump onto the Windrake, and Galuf says, Zizat must realize this was the plan all along and was still going to sacrifice himself regardless. And Zizat says, dude, I'll be in the sub. Just, calm down. And tries to run to save him, and Zizat's lying. It was his plan all along. He knew none of the 4 Warriors of Light, the new Warriors chosen by the Crystals, had to fight Exdeath, and that they couldn't afford to lose Galuf, so the rest is up to them. But don't worry, he'll be there when we need him, which I don't see how that's possible, seeing as he's going to be dead. But anyway, he just stands there, doesn't even try to escape to make it to the sub. He's just like, nah, no way out, I'm just going to stand here and blow up. And Galuf's very upset about this, and Avros apologizes in advance before he does it, but he basically KOs Galuf and carries him to the edge of the tower and jumps off with him to land on the Windrake, along with the girls. And Galuf wakes up on the way down and says, take him to the sub. And he's like, dude, Zizat's dead. And Galuf says, nope, we made a promise. At least let me go down there and meet him at the sub. And so, Phase 1 of our plan to attack Exdeath has now been completed. The barrier is now down. We've taken out one of the barrier towers, and now we have access to Exdeath Castle again. So, bit of an emotional scene here. Galuf won't actually rejoin the party here for a bit. You have to just basically wait for a short amount of time until Galuf realizes that waiting any longer for Zizat to show back up is really not worth it. So, here we go. Yeah. Calls Zizat an arse and says he always wanted to play the hero. And we get to resume control of the sub, and we're going to go looking for Guido's cave, which, as Avros says, will be easier than swimming, which, if it's sunk to the bottom of the ocean, yeah, a lot easier than swimming. So, he asks how Galuf is, and yeah, Galuf just needs a bit of rest. He's below decks by himself, mourning the loss of his friend. And we press on with our quest. So, next stop is actually not Guido's cave, but one of the pianos. So, another piano here, and as it says, piano in virtuoso indeed, after a bit more practice. So, one more piano, or 2 more pianos to go, I'm pretty sure, at this point. And we'll see how that all goes. But resting here on the sub, it's a free use inn to recover your health and mana. So, here we go into Guido's cave. And we make it to the end of Guido's cave, and there's a strange turtle. And Avros decides to be a dick and whack the turtle on its shell, and Galuf tells him to stop, and he doesn't, and just keeps, whacking away at this turtle. And the turtle's like, man, stop it. And Avros says, sweet Christmas, a talking turtle. A Luke Cage reference there. And Galuf's like, Sage, forgive my idiot companion. And everyone's like, wait, the turtle's a sage? Galuf's like, yes. Like, he's at the end of the cave, who else would it be? And Guido says, yeah, it's fine, I'm not physically damaged in any lasting way at least. And Guido's like, man, come on, picking on useless turtles? I mean, what the hell's wrong with you? Anyway, they get told that forest to the west of Surgate is the Guardian Forest, which is where evil spirits were inside trees, and 500 years ago a concentration of evil inside one of the trees turned itself into Exdeath. So basically, here's the big reveal that Exdeath the Warlock is a evil tree from the Guardian Forest. People like to point this out as a thing that makes the storyline of this game really stupid. But, yeah, the Forest of Moor, the Guardian Forest, west of Surgate, they used to keep evil spirits there, and a concentration of the evil spirits built up inside a singular tree, and those spirits formed together into a singular mass, which is Exdeath. It's not that the tree itself is evil, and that Exdeath is just a tree. No, it's the evil spirits inside of the tree as well. So, Guido here gives us the Guardian branch and says, we need to go to the Guardian Forest, the Forest of Moor, and deal with what we can from there. It's the tree that protects the seals, and that Exdeath originally was sealed inside the forest, and seals, though, were meant to be broken. So here we are at the Guardian Forest, just before I continue with my story here, and the tree branch starts reacting and lets us into the forest. So, yeah, Guido basically says seals are meant to be broken, and so the fact that Exdeath has escaped again this time means this time he needs to be destroyed. It's not good enough to just seal him again, so we know now that any sort of use of the crystals to seal Exdeath again won't work. We need to fully destroy him, and something or someone has set fire to the forest. As Avros says, it must be Exdeath. I mean, who else would it be? You can see a little hidden chest here behind this tree that has the Aegis shield in it. You can actually leave that shield and it'll become a flame shield after this next little storyline sequence is about to happen. But the Aegis shield is a much better shield because it blocks spells and has some better properties with it, as well as having better magical defense, where the flame shield is just a very strong shield that absorbs fire magic and allows you to heal from it. So personally, I'd recommend taking the Aegis shield over the fire shield, and turns out there's a couple of Moogles that live underneath the forest here, so we're going to go ahead and put the Aegis shield on Galuf while we're waiting, heal up in this restoration spring. We've been fighting monsters all the way through the forest, and the Moogle lair is blocking the exit while the forest itself is still on fire, and will eventually start moving, and that's when you can leave, and the forest itself is burnt down. This chest is now empty because we took the Aegis shield instead, and in the middle of the forest is the Guardian tree, and it's the one that protects the seal that sealed at the Exdeath in the first place, but it's still standing. It wasn't really affected by the fire when the Guardian branch actually does go all the way up into the tree and opens up an entrance in the tree, and for us to go along with, as it's a branch of itself, and it said, yep, you're all good, you're happy for you to come in, and just setting up for this next fight, putting float on everyone there from Faris. There is actually a boss fight in here, and there's the 4 glowing things of energy there, and there must be whatever's sealed inside of the Guardian tree, as Galuf says. So here they come to attack us, and we need to deal with these. So, interesting boss fight here. These things are not actually named, so you have no idea what exactly it is that's attacking you here. So, at this point, there's 4 of these weird emerald masses here, or crystalline masses, and you're not really sure exactly what it is that they are, but they all have specific elemental weaknesses and resistances, and they will actually absorb specific elements. So, one thing they don't absorb is wind-based attacks, so Faris and Galuf both have air knives equipped at this point to be very helpful, and what we're going to do here is set up a lot of defenses. So they also don't resist earth magic, so using Golem here we can set up some defenses to physical attacks, and then we can use Titan here to Earthquake them. So the reason why we're floating is one of these does like to use Earthshaker as well, and if we're floating we can't be affected, it's same as the fight against Titan. At this point, basically, Spellblade is not super useful on Lena, so we're going to actually use Drain, because there's not really too much more we can use that's of much benefit here. And Avros is going to resort to using blue magic, using that Deathclaw here. As you can see, one of the crystalline masses is already gone thanks to Deathclaw, and Faris just physically attacking it for the last of his HP with her air knife. And now we're just going to slow down as many of these things as we can with Sloga, haste gear our party so that everyone actually gets the doubled ATB gauge fill up, and then resort to our summons here from Galuf, and as much other damage as we can do from everybody else to take out the seal here. And hopefully once the seal's broken, we'll be able to more effectively deal with Exdeath when we go and assault his castle. So, fighting our way through these crystals. Basically, elemental magic is the worst choice against these. You can memorize which one out of the 4 directions in this fight absorb what energy type, but it's not really worth it when you can just hit them with stuff like Missile or Deathclaw to drop their health down to very low, and then use elemental types that they don't resist, stuff like, for example, what Faris is doing here, double commenting, or, you know, stuff like Titan as a summon, as they won't resist that damage, nor will they absorb it. Say, for example, you hit one of them with fire, and it's the fire seal, then it will actually absorb fire and heal itself when you do that. So you want to be very careful about using fire, ice, and lightning elements in this fight. if you avoid using all of those, so there you go, there's the fire one there using Firaga. Faris is actually equipped with a flame shield at this point, so that healed her instead. But if you were to hit that one, say, with Firaga yourself, it would get a massive heal out of it. So you can't really use AoE magic unless it is of one of those types that's not resisted. Avros resorting to White Wind there, one of the best heals in the game to try and keep everyone alive. And that crystal there using Eriga to affect everybody with damage again. And Faris is going to hit it with the double comet. And we've been doing a lot of damage here with Lena's rapid fire, so there shouldn't be too much of this left to go. Lena actually going to show that off here with the jumping to the floor to attack with the sword that you do when you're floating with rapid fire, and take out the last one of those seals. And the seals themselves will return back to where they were, and reveal what it was they were sealing. And yeah, so someone's there talking, saying, oh, very efficient for you guys to show up and do this for me. Obviously X-Death, and he says the seals can only be broken by the power of the Warriors of Light, and that the things that they were sealing were the crystals of this world all along. And now that those crystals are no longer sealed, and no longer binding X-Death's powers, X-Death now has full reign over them, and is just going to use the powers of the crystal to laser beam the entire party, and take them out. Kryl realizes something must happen to her grandfather. It's very badly established, and I know I'm glossing over a lot of the storyline stuff here. She's going to get on the Windrake here to go and save them, but yeah, the thing that's badly established is she can telepathically communicate with stuff, just in general, just like Lena can kind of talk to animals and understand them as well. So Kryl can actually communicate with the animals via telepathy, and must be some sort of psychic, because she can tell what's happening to Galuf before she even arrives. But she shows up here, hits X-Death with a spell, and X-Death doesn't take too kindly to that, and traps her inside a flaming ring, and then takes that flaming ring and uses powers of his own, magic, whatever it might be, to throw around the room and beat her up, basically. And Kryl begs for Galuf to save her, and Galuf starts to stand up, so X-Death starts using the crystals again. But this time, Galuf's not going down. He's not going to take this one lying down, and he says if he tries to dispel the power, it will shatter the crystal. And he continues to do so, and it does actually shatter the crystal there. And he knocks Kryl outside of the Ring of Fire, and then uses the energy of it to kind of go sort of Super Saiyan here, and then charges directly at X-Death, and decides to fight X-Death entirely on his own. X-Death opens up with the Blizzaga, and actually knocks Galuf down to 0 HP left here, so Galuf's dead. But he's not going down, and you might be thinking, that's a bit of a strange thing to have happen, but this is actually a scripted fight here, and you kind of need to do X amount of damage to X-Death to get through this scripted encounter, so with Galuf able to do that dual cast Titan, we're just going to do that, and have him take some hits here from X-Death, even though he is already dead, and he's just not going to die. He's just decided death doesn't sound like a good idea, so he's just going to not die, basically. So, yeah, not too much to say about this actual combat, because there's no real strategy other than just do big damage, and, I mean, there's no point in healing. Galuf will always stay at 0 HP, basically throughout this entire encounter. Those Blizzagas that X-Death is throwing, doing 1800 damage, he's only got a little over 1000 HP, so, yeah, there's not too much to cover here storyline-wise, just sort of waiting. Yeah, so X-Death says take this, hits him with Vacuum Wave, a new skill we haven't really seen, and that's basically it. We're waiting for X-Death to react to the fact that Galuf is just standing here throwing summons at him and not really showing any stress from the punishment X-Death's throwing at him, or any sort of sign that he's weakened. And so X-Death says he'll show me his true power, prepare for the afterlife, and casts Flare, one of the strongest spells in the game. And Galuf kind of just takes it, and then he casts Holy, the strongest white magic damaging spell in the game, and then Meteor, which is the strongest time magic spell, and Galuf just takes all three of those, and as I said, he's decided he doesn't want to die just yet, so he's not going to. And he will continue to throw Titans at X-Death, hoping to take X-Death out. Exdeath has a lot of HP. It's not at all possible to actually kill him in this encounter. So, Exdeath just decides to ask why Galuf won't die. And Galuf says, yeah, it's gonna take more damage than that for me to kick the bucket. I'm gonna kill you, even if it means taking you into the afterlife myself. So, here's Galuf's shining moment of badassery in this game. And, yeah, he's just gonna take out Exdeath by himself. Spoilers, it doesn't really work out exactly how Galuf would hope. There is a lot more of the game after this. It would be a bit anticlimactic for it to end here. And Exdeath basically says, don't worry, I'm not dying. All of the hatred in the existence won't destroy me. And Galuf says, it's not anger or hatred. It's something different that's motivating him here to fight Exdeath and just basically not die. He's gonna explain what that is to Exdeath. It's a concept that Exdeath, as the warlock collective of spirits from an evil tree, would not ever be able to truly understand. So, Exdeath's gonna ask here, what is it? And, if you know your cliches, you'll understand that, Galuf was motivated by love. It wasn't any sort of anger or hatred that, was powering him there to destroy Exdeath. It was his love for his granddaughter. So, Exdeath's gonna take the remaining 3 crystals into himself and, bugger off with a teleport here. So, Galuf tried. He really did to take out Exdeath on his own, tried to defeat him with the power of love. The final boss fight of this game against Exdeath, when it does happen, you'll see, I mean, the power of just sheer power itself is more effective. I mean, you don't have to hate Exdeath, you just have to be sufficiently strong enough to destroy him. So, everyone gathers around Galuf, and, yeah, it's all good. It's too late for him. And, Avros says, don't talk like that. So far, 2 of the Warriors of the Dawn, or the Dawn Warriors, have died. Dorgan, Avros's dad, and the Zad of Ice. And, Galuf basically says to the assembled foursome, destroy Exdeath. He wasn't able to, and Krile says, well, no, you're not allowed to die. But Avros tries to throw a Curaga on Galuf. Lena tries to raise him. And Pharisee goes, Phoenix down, Elixir, anything they can do to prolong Galuf's life and save him from death. But, hey, those items don't work in cutscenes, I guess, because not the only time something like that happens in Final Fantasy. And as it says, Galuf's flame flickered out, and Krile is distraught that her grandfather was gone and says he wasn't allowed to leave. I don't think there's anything in the game, I can't recall anything that tells you what happened to Krile's parents, but Galuf was all she had left, family-wise. And now we get to enjoy another mandatory sort of wait here. So I sped this footage up, you can run around inside here, there is no exit. And as you can see, no way out down there, there's no exit to either left or right, there's no way out here. And it's again one of those waits. With the submarine, you could at least go into the submarine. It just didn't end this scene any faster. When all of a sudden, there's a brilliant flash of light. The way outside opens, and Krile says her grandpa is calling. Coming back to that whole telepathy thing, or psychic powers, or whatever it is that Krile has. She gets outside of the Guardian Tree, and Galuf actually is talking to her. And she's like, Grandpa, what's going on? And Galuf's final moments in this game, he sends down his crown. As we know, he was a king, and so that's the thing he gives to her, and says the Guardian Tree that has stood for thousands of years is letting him borrow its power to talk to Krile, and says, take this crown, in it is my strength and my power. You need to stand with the others. You're now the chosen one of the crystal. You're the new warrior of light to go along with the other 3. 3 members of Warriors of Dawn have passed on, and the Warriors of Light now need to be strong. They need to stand together. They're not alone, and use the powers they have to beat Exdeath. And new 4th party member now is Krile. She actually gets all of Galuf's job levels, abilities, equipment, everything. So yeah, sadly Galuf is now no longer, and Yeah, which sucks. He's such a good character up until this point in the game. The whole amnesiac trope and a few other things they do with him earlier on makes him very endearing, and you get towards the back half of the game, and he's gone, only replaced by his granddaughter, and so Exdeath is trying to destroy the crystals, as Galuf has let us know, so we need to go to Exdeath's castle. So that's it. Krau calls in the Windrake, which is how she got here in the first place, and we have access to our transportation again to go back to Exdeath's castle and deal with the task at hand. So here we all go, pile onto the Windrake, and then in the next episode we will tackle Exdeath's castle. So we're getting ready here to go into endgame, go up against Exdeath himself, and try and take him out. So we'll see where this all goes. There's a little final bit here that I just want to cover off before ending this episode, but you can see here that's the Guardian Tree there in the forest, and there's just so much land just burnt away by Exdeath, and yeah, that's the sort of devastation he's causing the world. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next episode in Exdeath's castle for the final round.